Before heading into the courtroom just a few minutes ago, the former president made remarks to the waiting media.
I just want to say before we begin, these are all Biden trials. This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning. And it's very unfair. Fortunately, the poll numbers are very good. They've been going up because people understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt, and it's a shame. And it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything, including the DA's office. It's in coordination with Washington. I just want people to understand that this is done for purposes of hurting the opponent of the worst president in the history of our country. Second of all, we have another trial going on right now. That's Letitia James. She campaigned on the fact that I will get Trump, I'm going to get Trump. And it has to do with a bond of $175 million. First of all, she doesn't want me to participate with financial companies in New York. So we have a company, I guess, based in California. It's a bonding company. And I put up $175 million in cash. But she says the bonding company's not good. She doesn't like the bonding company because she doesn't know if the collateral is good. And I put up $175 million in cash, and she's questioning the bonding company. Well, when you put up cash, and the number is 175, which is what we're supposed to be putting up, but I give it in cash, she shouldn't be complaining about the bonding company. The bonding company would be good for it because I put up the money. And I have plenty of money to put up, but nobody is going to be putting up with this. Nobody is going to be listening or coming to New York anymore. Businesses are going to be fleeing because people are treated so badly. It's got to be the most unfriendly place to do business, and that's why businesses are leaving and people are leaving as migrants come in and take over our parks and our schools and everything else. So on the Letitia James case, she's the worst attorney general in the country, by the way. On Letitia, and she keeps a lot of business out of New York, and businesses that are here are leaving, and that means jobs and a lot of revenue. Somebody's going to step in, the governor, or somebody has to step in and do something because your businesses are fleeing. But on Letitia James, the money was put up, it's $175 million, and I don't think she's complaining about me for the first time ever. She's complaining about the company, but why would she be doing that when I put up the money? So I just want you to know that that's taking place in front of an extremely crazed judge who's the most overturned judge in New York State. He was overturned 4 or 5 times on that case alone. That's, you know who it is. I don't have to mention names. I want to be nice. I want to be very nice. But a thing like that, and a thing like what's going on right here should never be happening. It's a very, very sad day in America, I can tell you that. Thank you very much.
So, as has become common, Donald Trump making a brief statement outside the courtroom before proceedings begin today. And there for us outside the court is our correspondent, Neda Tawfiq. Neda, it's a legal double-header for Donald Trump today. 2 matters before 2 different judges in New York. Can you just explain to us and remind us what has happened in this bond hearing?
Yeah, absolutely, Lucy. Really just underscoring how many cases Donald Trump is facing, because literally right behind me are the 2 courts. This bond hearing is starting at top of the hour, so very shortly, and that is related to his civil fraud case that was brought by New York's Attorney General Letitia James. Remember, that is the case where a judge found him liable, saying he did fraudulently inflate his assets to get better loans from banks. And he was fined in that case more than $300 million in ill-gotten gains. And Lucy, when you add interest to that, that explodes to more than $400 million. So Donald Trump, while he appeals in order to kind of pause collection efforts, that could have affected some of his key properties here in New York. He sought to get a bond to be held with the court until the appeals process plays out. Now, he was kind of given a lifeline. The judge allowed him to get, an appeals court, I should say, allowed him to get a smaller bond of $175 million. instead of that full amount of more than $400 million. But what the New York Attorney General says is that that bond is not really worth the paper it's written on, that the company that posted the bond is not licensed in New York, that the money that Donald Trump put forward, he still has access to that money, and that the company itself doesn't have enough assets to really ensure that they could make good on that payment. So the New York Attorney General saying there are several issues with this bond. They want it rejected, and they want then the judge to give Donald Trump 7 days to come up with a new one.
In terms of the criminal trial, Donald Trump once again calling it election interference, saying it is incredibly unfair. But is it actually underway? Is court now in session, Neda?
There was a brief delay, Lucy, just before I got on with you. So I'm unsure, actually, if they have now started. There was a short delay. I'm just looking over to my producer to see, and it has started. Okay, apologies for that. So court is now in session, and we will get those opening statements from both sides. And that's really where they will lay out the facts of their case. It will serve as the foundation for jurors to kind of return back to as the big picture of what they are arguing here. And it's an important moment for prosecutors because, remember, they're trying to tie election interference with a salacious alleged sex scandal with this white-collar crime, saying that essentially Donald Trump falsified business records to conceal this payment, this alleged hush money payment to the former porn star Stormy Daniels, in order to prevent her from going public about her story and potentially hurting his campaign. So that's what they will lay out. And we will be very kind of keen to see what the defense says. Of course, it is up to the prosecution to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Donald Trump doesn't have to prove his innocence here. But of course, his team is going to want to be sowing enough doubt in jurors' minds. We have heard Donald Trump say this had nothing to do with the election. This was about preventing embarrassing information from being made public and embarrassing his family. But we will be interested to see how his lawyers approach this case.
And then a development to bring you, as well as our viewers from inside the court, actually, is one of the reasons for the short delay. As we understand, a second juror has started to have some doubts about the amount of media attention that the case is receiving, really concerned about whether or not they actually wanted to be part of this case. So Justice Merchan had to have a conversation with that juror, and that led to a bit of a delay. But that really does underscore the amount of attention there is on this trial, how much pressure these jurors must feel that they are under now.
Absolutely. I mean, let's remember, Lucy, the original juror number 2 in this case last week was excused for that exact reason, saying that she felt intimidated because her identity had been made public, that her friends and family had guessed she was a likely juror, and she just felt after sleeping on it, it was too much. We then saw over jury selection more than 3 other women, sometimes breaking down in tears, saying they felt anxiety around this case, that they just felt it was too difficult to serve. So that has been kind of a key theme that has come up. I mean, beyond in jury selection, more than half of the panels just saying they outright didn't feel they could be impartial because of who the defendant was, Donald Trump. For others, saying that they had other personal reasons, such as just the length of the trial being difficult. But that other kind of point in focus, just the burden and the anxiety that many feel on this trial, has certainly been an issue, Lucy. So interesting to see that that has now come up just as they were getting ready to start opening statements in this case.
And actually, we were already talking, Neda, earlier about how it's a shorter day today because of Passover. The judge, the justice in the trial, also saying there might be a break today because one of the jurors has an emergency dental appointment. So there was an expectation that we might see the first witness called with David Pecker. That may now not happen. It's hard to know how things will go this morning. But was that the expectation, that the first witness would be called today?
Yeah, certainly the defense had asked prosecutors to alert them to who that first witness would be so they could properly prepare. And Lucy, there was real reluctance to actually give over that name because they were concerned that Donald Trump would perhaps tweet about it. That would again, raise concerns about witness intimidation. But Donald Trump's lawyers had even promised, look, just tell us who the witness is and we won't even tell Donald Trump, our client, or have him post about it. So that was an interesting point that came up. Again, the unprecedented nature of this trial is certainly testing the legal system here. But look, I think with all of these delays, it would be difficult to see us getting to the first witness. We'll have to see how that plays out. I think more larger picture, I think we've all come to see that with this case, we have to be prepared for the unexpected to arise. Donald Trump's lawyers, I think, would certainly welcome any delays. They had already complained that jury selection went too quickly for their liking, and a kind of key tactic they've used throughout is trying to delay this process.